Hello out there, this is Wakeangel2K1 coming at you with another dip into the ocean of third-party Transformers toys with IFEX16 Pink Assassin. That's right, my second trip to the third-party Transformers line is another Iron Factory Not Legends figure. You may recall the first one I got was the lovely Miko for Iron Titan, also known as Wind Saber. So looking at the box, we see that it is about the same size, a tiny bit bigger, although Iron Factory seems to have changed their aesthetic a little bit. You still have a window box featuring the figure, and their logo is still prominently featured in the corner, although it has changed. There's no X going down the middle. And instead of that flowery, wallpapery looking detail, they just have pictures of the figure. You see her in robot mode, in vehicle mode, and on the back you get another glamour shot of her in robot mode, along with a QR code you can scan, which probably takes you to this website, weibo.com. Well, unless you're supposed to pronounce that Weibo. Because I know it's like supposed to be, when you see E before I, it's supposed to make an A sound. So Weibo. But you know how it's actually, you know, not. I know that sometimes Asian languages don't romanize very well, so let's not talk about the box anymore and let's get her out of there. Alright, to make this a pseudo unboxing, the contents are, well, here we see Pink Assassin, who I might just call RC for the remainder of this video, just for brevity. RC here comes on this really nice card with like this thing that holds everything in place. When I let it go, the sword's dropped, but you see her gun. And let's just get that back into place for now. But if you reach underneath, you find a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a really large and complex stand. That's, yeah, let's, I'll take a look at the stand in a moment. But there is one more accessory that's packaged in there. It is a little baggie with an extra sword for Wind Saber. Yeah, like Wind Saber was EX05, and this is EX16. Assuming those are model numbers, that means that they've made 11 figures in between these two, and I just happen to get the one that has the new sword for the one other figure that I've ever bought from them. So let's bring in my little Miko here, my Wind Saber figure, and take a look at the new sword. First, let's get her sword out of her hand and put her to the side so that we can focus on the blades. As you can see, the new sword is made out of a translucent pink plastic, so it looks more like the Energon blade that the Generations toy wields. And, interestingly enough, it's a mirror image. As you can see, that little mushroom peg that clips into her wings when you transform into vehicle mode is actually on the other side. So this sword is a mirror reflection of the original sword. And the handle is a much darker but still translucent red plastic. So since they're mirror reflections of each other, that means that to preserve the look, you would actually put this in her left hand so that the outward facing one can look like the jet turbine and not an immersion breaking plug. But since it's designed to be wielded in your left hand, that means the first sword can go into her right hand again, and you can have a dual-wielding wind blade, just like on the box art for the for you know the wind blade from the Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon. Like yeah, that's a really neat little thing. I actually like that they put that little. They didn't just took the same mold and recast it. They actually took the effort to print a new mold that was a mirror reflection of it and cast it then. I mean, I know there's some OCD people that are gonna go crazy that the swords don't actually match, but I don't really care. If I really did obsess that much, then I would just give her one sword or the other. But that have a dual-wielding wind blade is just plain awesome. Okay, so now let's look at the actual toy that came in the packaging. And by the toy that came in the packaging, I of course mean all of her stand pieces. This is an extremely modular stand. There's peg holes all over the place and pegs all over the things. And you know, you got this thing going on where you can like put that way or put it that way. And then you got these things that go in there or go in like that, and then, you know, I don't actually know what this is supposed to attach to because it doesn't seem to match anything. But yeah, you can like put that there, and then you put that there. This is actually kind of a terrifying connection, and sometimes because it's all clear plastic and doesn't, and when you move it, it can creak and squeak uncomfortably. But it is an articulated armature, and then like you got 6 attachments points for the thing. So, yeah, see? So you like get yourself an articulated arm that can move into many positions to display. And we will take a look at this after we take a look at the figure. So let's go ahead and get Pink Assassin down here. Pink Assassin is amazing for this not legend scale that they're going for. She's amazing. Like it's everything that was good about Wind Saber, but then they made extra improvements, which are like, you know, outright super impressive. So why don't we bring in her sister here? Let's do a side-by-side comparison. And as you can see, the RC toy is actually a tiny bit taller. Yeah, like if you put them forehead to forehead, RC is just a tiny little bit taller than Wind Saber, which always weirded me out in the Transformers canon, because like typically jets are much bigger than cars. Insert mass shifting joke here. But yeah, like we all remember the articulation level on Wind Saber was good, but they totally and utterly one-upped everything about Wind Saber here. Like a lot of things are like that's a single pin disc, but like I already talked about Windblade's articulation, but let's take a look at RC's here. First of all is her head. It is on a nice little ball joint, and she has a really nice little face. It's very similar to the same aesthetic, that doll-like aesthetic that they were going for with the Wind Saber figure. And her baby blue eyes are very nicely picked out, and the silver around her face does a good job of separating out from the rest of her helmet. If I were to make any complaints, it would probably be, I don't know, maybe give her some lipstick, although even for a collector's toy, I know that paint app would probably be too much to ask. She has a very nicely painted midriff and the little blue on the bottom of her thing. All very good. So yeah, like she has a ball jointed head. It has a little bit of expressive tilt. It can look up quite a bit, and even look down. Very nice. But then, like she has ball jointed shoulders. We all know about the ball jointed shoulders and the ball jointed elbows, which afford her a bicep swivel. No wrist movement, although they did paint her hands very crisply. I at first thought that they had plugged them in, but nope. That's one solid piece of plastic with just the hand is painted. So far everything is pretty similar to Windblade. Then you get here. Just like animated RC, this one has torso articulation. The joint is in the same place, but it's not a swivel. It's a ball joint. That means that she has a little bit of crunch, a little bit of arch, and some side-to-side movement. She can dance. Dun, 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 dun. Like, wow! I never in a million years expected to see that on a figure this size. Because the Windblade figure had just one solid piece for her torso. So the fact that this one can move, I mean, her backpack is attached to her lower back, so it doesn't move with the backpack. But it's, you know, it does enough. Like, that is damn impressive. She also has ball jointed hips with a very wide range. And the ball has range to afford a thigh swivel, but then she also has an actual thigh swivel. That's another thing I never expected to see. Like a knee swivel, yes, but an actual dedicated thigh swivel held together with a screw no less on a toy this size, that is pretty much almost as impressive as this epic double jointed knee. Look at the pins in there. They are a thing of beauty. And for some weird reason, the pin in here is pink. Like, it's black on the other side, but it's pink there. I don't care. It's awesome. She has a really, really, really good double jointed knee, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And she has amazing ball jointed ankles. That's right. Ball joints, which afford her nice quantities of outward tilt and forwardness. Like that far out, her foot is still flat. Of course, she is a bit back heavy because of the backpack, even though it's very lightweight. And the backpack is probably her weakest part. It just feels like a little shell of plastic. It's just like a sheet. Doesn't really do much for her back there. And I wish that, like, maybe if this armature could go down and then it could fold up so that it could be lower on her back. I guess you can fold it back so it's out of the way, but that looks weird from the side. So, like, I know having a backpack is accurate to RC, but I wish it could lower. That's the one flaw for robot mode. The backpack should be able to lower a little bit more. But aside from that, the articulation is unbelievably fantastic. I love everything about this. The one thing, the foot, it's really good at pointing downwards. Look how far it can go. Not so much in the other direction. That's as far up as it can go. So for taking a step, that's about as far as it goes. But, you know, outwards, great. Alright, so that's her articulation, which is amazing. So let us bring in that little armature again. She has a plug right here in her lower back, which will accept a hole, which will accept the, which is hard to do on camera. So there she is using the armature she came with. It plugs in very snugly back there, and you don't even have to get it in all the way. And I mean, the fact that it's almost completely invisible is a nice plus, but doesn't that look like kind of overly large and complicated a setup for such a tiny little figure? I mean, really, like, you didn't need to go through that much effort. And I'm kind of pained that that their Windblade figure doesn't have the same kind of peg hole that their RC had. Also, look at all that hollow space in the back of her legs. None of that in RC's legs. Her legs are nice and solid. Yeah, I would have liked to use the flight stand for my flying character, but the only place she has a peg hole is in her turbine. So, and that's too big for the peg. Unless, remember when I said I had that other piece of the armature that was too big? No. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess if you could somehow attach this, she can hang by one of her things. Maybe that's what it's for? I don't know. It'll probably be good to plug into her when she's in plane mode so she can have a flight. But it's kind of weird that they made the attachment point there. Okay, so as long as she's on here, let's also take a look at her weapons. She has these very nice swords. They are cast in translucent blue with some silver paint to pick out the detailing. They look fantastic. They slide right into her hand. She has a very solid and firm grip on them. They look great in there, and because of the shape of her hands, it is every bit as easy to get them underslung as it is overslung. So, you know, like you can have a fully armored dual sword wielding RC just like that, just like in the comics. And oh wow, does that look amazing. Let's Yeah. Framing. This is how I'm seeing it because I'm slightly taller than the camera. All right, so yeah. She also comes with one gun. It is just straight up a piece of translucent plastic. It's not painted in any way. I think maybe it would have looked better if it had a little bit of paint accent like the swords do, but you can put it in there and it fits very nicely. Looks really good. And there is one secret thing about this. If any of you out there are Bayonetta fans, she has pegs on her heels here, which can give her a nice gun kick. Yeah, so if you want her effect stand to have her standing, you can have a crazy goddess of battle who shoots people with her kicks. Oh god. Oh, and I tested this before. You don't necessarily need the stand for this. Hold on. How is that for balance? Her articulation is good enough and her feet are just big enough that she can easily stand on one leg while doing a high kick. So you don't even need the included display stand to have some crazy Bayonetta shit going on here. That is just... Oh, that's just candy. Oh, I love it so much. I guess the only thing left to do now is a little tiny bit of comparison. So let's get an official RC figure here to see just how well they stack up. So here is Pink Assassin with her big sister Generations RC. Now, mine is, of course, the Hasbro RC and not the Takara one, which went through more effort to be G1 accurate. So, basically, the only difference between the G1 accurate RC repaints and this one is that the black parts were replaced with gray, and she had a gray midriff as opposed to all this white. Also, they painted this whole crotch part pink instead of making it look like a pink belt. So it created the look of a robot lady wearing a pink bikini rather than a robot lady wearing pink crotchless panties. So as you can see, she's rocking the G1 color scheme a little more. So if I had the Takara RC to stand here, she'd probably look almost identical color scheme wise. Also, this RC has a little bit more of a pink face, while this one has a very white face, almost like a China doll. I'm not sure if that is Iron Factory's aesthetic, because Windblade also has a very white face, despite the character being well known for some rather impressive facial tattoos. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good look. It's G1 RC in this tiny little scale. And you know, warts and all, giant backpack. Her backpack looks a little bit more like it has wings because of the way the kibble folds away. But, you know, it's all good. So yeah, in terms of looking like RC at this scale, nailed it. Alright, so let us get into the transformation. Pink Assassin comes with a very basic little instruction sheet that looks very similar to anything you get from Hasbro, and her transformation is actually nice and simple. So basically rotate her head around so she's looking into her backpack. Then you fold these wing bits down so that they form the shape of a car. You pull all this up so that it goes, you know, there's a slot that pegs into a slot on her upper back. And you're already starting to fill out a car-like shape. And here, you rotate her arms around so that you can peg her backpack into her forearm, just like so. Let's get that a little closer so you can see it better. See, there's the peg hole. You plug it in. Boom. This is where the transformation starts to get a little bit weird and complicated. You gotta point her feet. Then you start to bring them up and around, like you're gonna make use of her double jointed ankles, her double jointed knees here, but not in the way I thought. This is where you take the gun Just like with the Generations toy, the gun is actually used as an anchoring point to hold a part of her in place. Instead of holding her arms in place, the gun holds her legs in place. They are designed to peg into the sides. Remember how I said it gave her a nice little Bayonetta-esque play pattern, but this is its true intention. You got to get her toes into the front of the car mode like that, and then get that in there. And see, there's that. Then you just futz with her knee and hip joints until everything fits. You see I'm a little bit off center here. Let's just, there we go. Yes. Then you take the swords and you plug them in on the other side of her ankle. So you use all of her weapons to complete her vehicle mode. This takes care of storage issues at least. Although it's a little bit awkward getting everything to line up at the same time occasionally. There we go. That is finally in. And there. So this is the vehicle mode, and it's probably the weakest part of this toy. Let's get this out of the way. So I decided to bring in Miko for Iron Titan here. First to show off how she would make use of the display stand if you wanted to use it for her flight mode. It kind of works. I mean, she's light enough that, and this is huge enough that nothing is being thrown off balance by the fact that she's hanging from a wing instead of at her center of mass. If this was a larger toy, it might be a bigger issue, but it's a tiny toy, so it's okay. So yeah, now that we've done that, let's get to talking about the vehicle mode. First of all, complete lack of wheels. I guess this is because she's a Cybertronian car, and on Cybertron, wheels are optional. She's like a Futurama-style hover car. She has a really nice front cockpit. From this angle, it looks pretty good. I mean, you got the translucent blue. You got the stuff on her feet looks like intake vents. So you know, it's looking okay from this angle. The illusion's broken a little bit from the side, as you can clearly see her hands. From the back, it just looks like a bunch of abstract mush. But then you look at it underneath, and you see the similar failing of that all these fembots tend to have. I don't know, like this is only the second toy I've ever bought from Iron Factory, so I'm not sure if this is an Iron Factory issue where, yeah, there's just under kibble. But yeah, that's that is kind of a sad thing about this toy. Like really nice vehicle from all of two angles. Like looking at it from slightly above and to the side, it looks nice. Looking at it from the front, it looks nice. Looking at it straight on the side does not look nice. Looking at it from underneath looks freaking horrible. So not the most fantastic vehicle mode out there. But you didn't buy this for the vehicle mode. In fact, the vehicle mode does not even have any peg holes in it anywhere to make use of the display stand. Which is weird because, you know, like, it doesn't stay... It's back heavy because her leg construction is way heavier than this backpack. So, like, it's... Like, this is not something... They never thought that you would display RC in her car mode, is what I'm trying to get at. It's just not meant for it. In conclusion, I'd say that Iron Factory has absolutely knocked it out of the park with this Pink Assassin, aka Not Legends RC figure. It aesthetically matches the previous effort, Miko for Iron Titan, aka Not Windblade, but improves on her in just about every way, with added waist articulation, which is accomplished with a ball joint in the upper chest, but still counts as a waist joint. Dedicated thigh swivels, as well as very free ball jointed hips, and like a general more solid construction with far less hollow spaces. Of course, the vehicle mode still has a whole bunch of underkibble that just basically looks like a robot with a vehicle stapled onto its back like a shell. But, you know, like, as far as the robot mode goes, it is pretty much the best you can possibly accept at this scale. On par with a deluxe figure in terms of for articulation. It's frankly amazing. And here's the kicker. I got it for only $20, free shipping. That is amazing. I mean, Miko also costs about $20, but I had to pay for her shipping. So this is amazing. Like, you can go out onto eBay right now, eBay or Amazon, and find many sellers who are selling her for only $19.99 and not charging any shipping. If this is really something that you need, I wholeheartedly recommend going to get it now before it becomes harder to find and more expensive. What are you still doing watching this video? You should be going into another tab and looking up this toy. So this has been Wakeangel2K1. I hope you enjoy this figure as much as I do if you get it, and we will see you next time.